Hello folks and welcome to the channel. So a bit of a little story really. I'd never had an 8-track player before and I was quite enamoured by the old Panasonic RQ830S Dynamite, and I thought, oh, that'd be really cool. I'd really like to have one of those. And I bought myself my first ever 8-track tape there, Neil Diamond, and it does need servicing, admittedly, but that's for now, that's just for a test. So I've got this marvellous little JVC 8-track recorder. Now, 8-track recorders aren't very common at all, but I thought, wouldn't it be great fun to actually be able to record modern music onto a blank 8-track tape and play it on the old JVC, on the old Panasonic Dynamite. So I thought that'd be really good fun. But the only problem is with that, of course, there aren't many of these about, as I say, and of course they don't really work. So I've taken a punt on this one from eBay. It's described as not working, so heaven only knows what's wrong with it. So it's literally just arrived actually, but I thought, well, let's take a quick look. So on the face of it, it's actually in really nice condition. Doesn't look like it's been abused too much. Oh yeah, the door was a bit stuck there. It's obviously not been used for quite some years. And it's a genuine wooden case. But what does concern me is, well, a couple of things. Firstly, there's no plug on it. Now, that's not the end of the world, because of course I can soon put a plug on there, and we'll do that in a minute. But the question is, why did they take the plug off? Was it beyond repair and, you know, just no good to man or beast, and they thought it was so worthless that they've just taken the plug off it to use somewhere else, like we used to do back in the day? Or maybe actually they just didn't use the unit anymore, and that's why they've taken the plug off, and that's why the seller hasn't tested it. That was one option. But also, the screws are missing off of the bottom here. Now, they hold the feet in place, judging by the residue there. But also, I'm a bit worried because they hold the actual case on. So I'm thinking, has somebody got him in here already and already sort of had a look, and it's already broken before, and they've tried to get in there and see what's wrong with it, haven't been able to fix it, and just cobbled it back together with this one screw. I don't know yet, so let's take a quick look inside and just see exactly what we've got really. So first things first, as I say, there's only one screw here holding this thing together at the moment, so this isn't going to be much of a disassembly, I don't think. But anyways, so that's the screw to one side. Now, if I can, there we go, right. So the whole thing is basically just there. And you can see actually, that's a really smart, solid wood. Look with the reinforced corners and a bit of hardboard just on the back. Voltage selectors on there, your line in, line outs, and obviously the power cable in. Licensed by Learjet, of course, back in the early days there of the 8-track. So I'll just put this case to one side. Well, looking at the unit, I don't actually think it's too bad. It smells old, you know, like that kind of old electronic smell in there. Nothing too bad, just that old metallic smell. Doesn't smell of any sort of smoke or burning or anything like that, which is good. The capacitors, of course, will be super old in this, but there's no real signs that they've blown. The transistors are nice and easy to get to by the looks of things. There's nothing obviously missing here, and even the cable ties and stuff look original, so I don't think anybody's really messed with it, to be honest. The circuit board looks okay. So yeah, we might be in with half a chance actually. Might just need some contacts cleaning up, I guess. Let's have a look. Yeah, we'll just check that nothing's come away. I don't think it has. So there's an earth strap across the back there, so we may just clean that up, I think, and a bit of contact cleaner and some steel wool or some fine paper just to make sure the earth is good. The transformer doesn't look burnt out or anything. There's sort of signs of smoke or anything like that. And the belt, aha, straight away. So the belt is still intact, but it's actually left a bit of some residue. I don't know if you'll be able to read that on the camera there, but there's like just traces of, I think the belt's probably starting to give up the ghost, and it's got a bit of a residue on the wheel. But interestingly, as I was turning it, if you watch the text on the motor pulley there, it's not running in sync. Can you see? So I'm really hoping that maybe this thing started slipping, and you know, and as literally the belt has given up the ghost, as I say, and perhaps they've thought, oh, do you know what, that's not working anymore. But I am a little bit worried as to why something as simple and easy to get to as that hasn't been fixed, given that they've actually had the bottom off it by the looks of things already. Anyways, so what we'll do, I think, is we'll get a plug on it so that we can fire it up. I'll clean that earth contact on the back there just to give us a fighting chance. Maybe some switch cleaner across the contacts there as well. Yeah, and I'll see if I can find a belt. I've probably got one that's about 6 mil, a flat belt. So I'll see if I can put a new belt on it, and we'll see what happens. Right, let's go and get a plug. I've just put a brand new plug on. So I'll replace the flex at some point. I mean, that just sort of comes in through the back there. We can sort that later if it works. However, right, I've also set the voltage. It actually goes between like 100, 110 to 120, 200 and 220, 230. Now, I couldn't sort of figure it out. I haven't got a book with me, any instruction book or anything, but it would appear that the looks like the most logical thing is that whatever you can read underneath on the bottom is going to be the way forward. So we'll go with that and assume it's on the right voltage. So next thing we'll do is just go and clean up the earth contact a minute. I'm just going to get this earth screw out. It's probably okay because it's been screwed down for so long that actually there's no oxidation has probably ever been able to even get in, and it looks pretty clean, to be fair. But I'll just put some switch cleaner and a little bit of sandpaper, holding the clip and the wire together because we don't want to break the solder. There we go. That looks okay. Not too grotty, to be honest, but it's just one of these things that's nice to do, rather than if something else doesn't work in a minute, we go, oh, maybe the earth's not right. So at least we've checked that already. So just get that back on. Of course, there's a nice little witness mark on the board as to where that was. Okay, and just generally have a little look. There's some contacts, I believe. No, looks okay actually. Right, of course I've not plugged anything in yet, so I'm not worried about touching any of the internals. This hasn't been plugged in years, so that's all right. We'll just put a little bit of contact cleaner on the contact switches just there as well. Now again, doesn't need much at all. It's more a token gesture really, if we can even get in there and do this. What we don't want to do is make things worse by distorting or bending the contacts, but if we can at least get in there and put a bit of cleaner on there. Right, okay, so there's a couple more little contacts I wanted to clean, but basically first thing I want to do next is get this belt off like so, clean up the residue. So we'll go and find some isopropyl alcohol to do that a moment, and be back soon. Okay, got a trusty IPA. The Miracle Solution. And I'm just wiping the belt off. I can get to it really easily, so that's great. wiping the pulley, I should say, not the belt. And you want the belt to be as clean as possible. If you think about it, it needs to be perfectly circular on the wheel. Otherwise, any dirt or lumps on there, effectively you get a cam effect, and that's what creates some of the wow and flutter, as it were. So if you want the belts to be turning as uniformly as we can. So we'll just do the same. Yeah, there's a bit of cack on the pulley. It's not the end of the world. I'm just gonna give that a bit of a scrape. Yeah, it's not too bad at all there, actually. It's more to say we've done it, really. And then I'm just going to drop a little bit of oil inside the motor for the bearing. And I'm just going to drop a very tiny amount of very light machine oil. Literally a drop or two, and I'll show you where. It's actually turning nicely now. All I've done is put a tiny little bit of machine oil just on the motor shaft there. Good. Right, next thing, see if we can find some belts. So just kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit, as it were. Just going to put a couple of drops of isopropyl alcohol. Just want to clean up the head whilst I can kind of get in there. Doesn't look grotesque, which is great. And also just a little bit of you can see some of the gunk that's coming off around the area, but nothing major. So we know we've got nothing disastrous that we're going to be putting our tape into, at least, so that's good. Also though, just while I'm here, just going to clean these tracks a tiny bit. Just having a little bit of a clean. Again, nothing crazy, and careful not to disturb anything too much. Right, I've had a look for a belt. I can't find one that's quite the right size at all. That one's slipping. I could try and reverse it, I guess. Failing that, I might put a tighter one on until I get some larger. It's typical. Yeah, it feels quite loose, to be fair. I don't know. Basically, I've got the right width, but not quite the right diameter. I've got some more on order that are the right diameter, but too thin. I've got belts that are the right size, but square section. So anyways, enough of that already. We've given it a cursory look over and a clean. I've just reversed the belt, cleaned the contacts and everything, and I have got a tighter belt if this does work and it just ends up slipping. So we'll see. Let's plug this in. Moment of truth, really. So, is anything? I'm not sure if anything's supposed to happen or where the power is for this. Let's put a tape in and see what happens. That'll be nothing. Are we plugged in? That's the next question. Always check the power, I suppose. Let's have a look. Okay, so the extension cord was not switched on at the wall. Epic fail. That being said, I'm still not sure if anything's happening. So, here we go. Oh, she's working. She's genuinely working. So let me just get this so you can see it without electrocuting myself. Famous last words. So there's your stop, continuous. Right, I don't want to record. Okay, wow. So I don't know if this even just records or whether it plays. What I don't want to do, what I don't really want to do, if I can help it, is actually ruin the tape by recording over it. And also I'm not convinced whether or not this tape actually plays that well, because I think the sponge might have gone on it as well. However, that's playing. Obviously we've got no output yet anyway. So what I'll do, I don't know if that's, it's not recording because it's not, I haven't pressed the record on there and it's automatically playing. So I'm going to go and find some headphones just to see if indeed this works, because if it does, that's an absolutely blinding little job. Righto, so headphones then. I'll just plug this back in. Right, what I'm going to do, I've got some headphones here. I'm just going to plug those into the front phone's jack, obviously. Now there is a line out and line in, but I'll clean those up separately afterwards just to polish them up before I play it through the stereo. But here we go. Yes. And the track select. Crackling Rosie, that sounds like to me. Song Sung Blue. Happy days. There we go then. Marvellous. Well, that's great news. So that works. So yeah, I think we'll get the plug off to get the case back on, clean it all up, put the plug back on, send some line outs into the stereo and see if we can have a proper listen to it. Fantastic. Well, that's absolutely fabulous then. So in recap, we've cleaned the heads and the capstan. What else have we done? We've cleaned the flywheel, cleaned around the spindle, oiled the shaft of the motor a little bit. The actual belt itself doesn't seem too bad. It's a tiny bit slack, but I've turned it around so that the side that was slipping is now gripping on the freshly cleaned surfaces, and that's running okay actually. There's a fair bit of resistance there. I was a bit worried if I put the smaller belt on, it put too much tension, might drag, slow it down and put premature wear on the motor as well. So I've left it where it is at the moment. This looks like it's a 100mm belt, and I've got 90, I think, 85, 90, and I'm thinking probably just need something like a 95. So I'll have to order one of those, I guess, if I need to. But yeah, so that's it. She's all good. Now, stupidly, I put the plug on this, not realising that the power actually comes out through a hole in the back of the case there. So I've now got to take the plug back off, which is useful. But that's okay, because I'm going to leave the flex on as well. I was going to replace it, but it's in really good. It's actually in good sort of condition. There's no nicks or tears in the insulation or anything, and also it goes through the original cable clip into the back there and through this nice sheathing where it's capped off as factory there. So actually, for what it is, I'm just going to clean this back and give it a scrub when I reassemble it. Right then, plug back off. Get it back together, give it a clean, plug back on, and we'll be in business. So just to finish this off, what I thought I'd do on the bottom is actually put some little rubber feet. So I bought these little stops from the hardware store. The idea being, of course, that they make the four feet and screw through and secure the chassis. That's fantastic. The only problem is, I couldn't find any screws. All my machine screws were too short. Well, they were actually the perfect original length for this one that was in there. But by the time you take the depth of the stop out, and the ones I had inbuilt washers, which made them slightly too short. A little bit frustrating, but there you go. But I have managed to find in like a TV fitting kit, I've managed to find some over-length M4s. So what I have to do is basically blow these through there we go, through the hole there and in. But obviously I can't go all the way in, so I need to cut them down just to make sure. I've checked inside and there's upwards of 10mm clearance generally on all of them. So as long as there's enough to go through the actual thread in the chassis, plus a few extra mil, we'll be in business. So first thing I'm going to do is just go and cut these 4 bolts down to length. So we have ourselves some slightly shorter screws now, which is great. Bit old school, I've just had to hacksaw these down quick in a vise. Try and dress them a little bit, but hopefully they'll work. Well, that's about as snug as I want to do it, really. I don't want to overdo them. So there we go then. That's the 4 new feet on and the extra chassis screw there. I don't think that one really goes to anywhere. I think that's more of an access hole. So there she is then. All done, all finished, up and running. Just the job. Marvellous. I've given her a bit of a clean. I'm literally, and this is no word of a lie, about to switch her on for the first time. I think the extension's on at the wall. So hopefully we'll put this we'll put the track in. It's on auxiliary, which I believe is the right setting for the AVs that I've just popped in the back of this. So would you believe it? No, tuner. There we go. I got it on the. I had it on the wrong input. I was a bit worried then for a minute. Well, I better stop that before the copyright people get hold of me. I do hope you can leave this in for the final video, the music. Otherwise, we'll have to just sort of blank it out or put something over the top. But anyway, great news. So that appears to be working. It's certainly playing brilliantly through the line out, which is fantastic. But what I'd love to do, I think I might have said at the beginning of the video, I've got this old RQ830S that needs a bit of a service and a decent clean. So my plan is to record some music onto that. In fact, this is actually my own CD here that I have released, and what I might do is record a CD onto a blank track and then play it on that one up there. That would be really cool. So that's it for the for this part of the video, and I may release it as it is, or I may actually go ahead then and get myself some blank 8-track tapes so that I can actually test the record function properly. There's no reason to suspect it won't work now that everything else works. But for sure what I'll do is get some blank tapes on order now. And then, because what I can do, of course, as part from the line outs on this, there are the record line ins, obviously, because it is there to record. That's the whole point of this machine. So yeah, let me come back at some point in the very near future with some blank tapes, and this is going to be really good fun. So far so good. Thanks for watching.